Golden State Media Concepts SciFi Podcast. Together we dive into the world of sci-fi and science fiction. From episodes of Star Trek, Star Wars, to The Walking Dead, Resident Evil, all the hot new science fiction movies from the back doors of Marvel or DC. The Golden State Media Concepts SciFi Podcast. You'll never look at science fiction the same way again.
Salutations. Welcome to the GSMC SciFi Podcast with your favorite host, Ryan Holloway, brought to you by and presented on the GSMC Podcast Network to fulfill all of your podcast needs. How you guys been? You guys been all right? Having a pretty good day? I feel like I am. You want to know why? I end up watching a movie that was, 21 years old? I watched a 21-year-old movie on Netflix the other day. It came out in 1997, and I think you should watch it. I really do. Sometimes when you watch older older sci-fi movies, especially older sci-fi movies, because there's not a lot of like CGI and stuff like that. I mean, even a lot of old movies that are supposed to be really good, the technology's not there, so they seem kind of, I don't want to say cheap, but they seem low quality. They seem low budget because the budgets were low. We didn't have a bunch of people to just make everything through a computer. They actually do like real sets. But watch this movie, and it's called Cube. And these people, they wake up in this box and have no idea how they got there. They have no clue. They have no clue how they got there. A bunch of strangers, they wake up in the cube. They don't know how they got there. They don't know who's involved. I'm not going to give away the ending for you, but I will tell you this. First, they figure out the cube is booby trapped because there's one guy there who he's like an escape artist. One guy is a cop. The cop says, they start talking or whatever. The cop's like, "Oh, I know." Cop recognizes his last name. The cop says, "Hey, I recognize you. You're the greatest escape artist ever. You've escaped from 1,000 prisons." So like, "Yeah, I've done this, I've done that. Yeah, I'll try to get us out of here." He has this trick. He's like taking off his boots and throwing them through the cube to test the booby traps and find out where these booby traps are. Because apparently there's booby traps in this cube. This guy misses the booby trap and then he gets his face like blown off by some type of torch. So that guy's in the movie like all of 8 minutes. So you think that he's going to be the one to get them out of it, but apparently he doesn't. He doesn't get them out of there. And then instantly it's every man for themselves. But I think it's really good because I'm really into things like that. When people wake up places and just don't know how they got there. Like Saw. Sorry. Saw isn't necessarily, actually, you know what? I'm going to say Saw is science fiction just because there's no way that Jigsaw could really make all that stuff. Like that has to be science fiction somehow. It has to be. There has to be some of it. Let's call it engineering fiction. Let's call it that. But I like when people wake up and have no idea how they got there. Like no idea. They had a show on NBC called The Unknown. Maybe it was Unknown Strangers. It was one of them. These people all wake up in this town. This is like in the future. They wake up in some town and they have no idea how they got there. I love that type of stuff because you usually don't find out until the ending. There's a bunch of red herrings all over the place. You don't know who to follow. You don't know who to trust. Some people are overbearing. You want to pick a side. You don't know what's happening the whole time. I'm all for that. I'm 100% all for it. And I think you should watch it. It's on Netflix. I feel like I turned this on a while ago when I was younger. Like, I feel like I turned this on a while ago on the Sci-Fi channel a long time ago. And I was like, this looks really good. But there were commercials. It was midway through the movie. I was like, I don't really want to watch this because this seems like the type of thing I'd want to watch from the beginning. And I'd want to watch it without commercials because with commercials on cable, I mean, it's going to take, 4 hours to watch a 90-minute movie. And they're going to cut a bunch of stuff out. How do you make the movie shorter and it takes longer to watch it? How does that? I never even thought about that till right now. How do you cut the movie and make me take longer to watch it. If the movie's 90 minutes, but you make the movie, I don't know, 81 minutes, and you make me sit in front of the TV for longer, how does that benefit me? I just realized that. I've been watching movies on TV for so long, and I just realized it takes me like 8 hours to watch Casino. Anyway, here's the thing. So, yeah, all these people, they're in this cube, and they can open parts of the cube, they can go to different like sides of it, but it's really good. It's really good. So when I saw it on Netflix, I was like, wait, is this Cube? Is this the Cube I think it is? Turn it on and immediately it's Cube. And the way it starts is great. The opening scene is great because you get to open up with just one of the people waking up, and they do their own process, and you get to see like, oh, okay, this Cube is for real. They're not playing around. This is a real life Cube. I don't think you guys will really enjoy it. You should check it out. It's on Netflix. I don't know how long it's going to be on there. I'm not sure if it was a June edition or what, but it's definitely one of those things where you just get to sit there and say like, I don't know what's happening. I really don't know. Kind of like when I talked to you guys about Prometheus, not Prometheus. When I talked to you about Alien Covenant last week, kind of like that, where at the end of the movie, you don't know which one of these guys is David or Christopher, when you don't know which one of at the very end, when there's two AIs, two robots, two artificial intelligence people, and you don't know which one is which until the very end of the movie. So for, I don't know, a whole like 20 minutes towards the end of the movie, you don't know which one is which until you get to the very end. And that's what this movie is. You don't know what's happening until you get to the very end. And these movies are so outstanding because to me, I feel like they test people's psychological, I don't want to say strength, but let's say they test people's mental fortitude, because you can automatically picture yourself in that situation. Some movies, it's like, if I could imagine myself being Al Pacino, like, no, you can't. You can't imagine yourself being Scarface. You really can't. But you can imagine yourself being dropped somewhere, locked in some box or locked in some city, and not knowing how you got there and not knowing who to trust. Because we've all had dreams where we've woken up from things that we thought were happening, or had times where you woke up and for like 3 seconds you didn't know where you were at. Has that ever happened to you? That's happened to me plenty of times. Sometimes I wake up and for like 1 second, I'm like, wait, where am I at? How am I here? Oh. I'm sorry. I went to the Bay Area last night and I get it. Okay, cool. So to wake up and have no idea where you're at or how you got there, I think that's outstanding. So if you guys get a chance, you got to watch it. You have to check it out. It's called Cube. It's on Netflix. It's 1997, but don't be biased. Just please watch it. You should watch it. I believe you should. I'm going to take a quick commercial break. And when I get back, I'm going to talk to you about this final season, not the final season, but the wrap up of this season of Fear the Walking Dead, because I think that you're going to feel, I may change your mind about how I thought the season was going to go, because it ended up being outstanding. I'm also going to tell you about a Black Mirror episode. Be right back.
This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Welcome back to the GSMC SciFi Podcast with your favorite host, Ryan Holloway, brought to you by and presented on the GSMC Podcast Network, world class, to fulfill all of your podcasting needs. Now, you may be surprised because I had mixed emotions about this. I had really mixed emotions. When Fear the Walking Dead first came on, when it first came on again this season, I was like, wait a minute. Wait, we're going to just send Morgan over there and then we're going to fix everything? Wait a minute. You guys are just going to wait a minute. I don't know what's happening. Wait, you guys are going to kill Nick off in the very beginning of wait a minute. What's happening here? But the way they did the season with all these, with all these flashbacks, and I don't know who was behind this, but whoever was behind it, They completely made me fall in love with it. Like for them to basically build a new, let's say a new team with the way that he's like scattered everything together with Kit, the truck driving girl, and having Madison's goodbye and Nick's goodbye and Morgan and John, and this the whole new team they built. The way they did it was perfect. The way they put the whole thing together was it was pretty genius. And I didn't see it coming that way. I really didn't see it. There's been times where Walking Dead does this thing where they'll take a character and then go off on a tangent with them for a whole episode. And like, this is what happened in this guy's background. And they do that for an episode and maybe a half. And then there'll be like little tidbits of other things going on. But this time they did it so smooth where the chronological order of everything is so distorted that you kind of end up following the story in a backwards manner. Like it's really, they did a good job. They did a good job. I feel like I'm impressed by it because I thought that them trying to bring Morgan over to the show was going to be more of like a last ditch type of effort. I thought it'd be like a last ditch effort thing to get it figured out. And they actually worked it out where I like it and it made sense. They did a good job. So I don't know. I'm not sure what's going to happen in the next season because they basically just did a reboot, right? Because they never really told us specifically. Like they didn't tell us there wasn't a situation where they could let us know what's going to happen next season. There wasn't really anything for that where they could kind of give us an idea of what was going to happen next. We don't know. Like, for example, in the regular Walking Dead, we know that when it opens up, Rick's going to be in charge and Negan's going to be in jail. We already know that. But in this situation, everyone's just riding together. They're all just they're in the truck with the guns and they're just riding together. And our journalist is going to keep recording. And Morgan is back on his hype where he's saving lives, where he made a great quote in the last episode. Like, I've spent so much time being away from people and I can't be away from people and I have to save them now. So he's back being his caring self because he can't really stay away, you know? And I love the myth of Morgan. They did a good job in this, like carrying it over from Walking Dead to this one, because Morgan can't die. No matter what happens, Morgan just can't die. And they won't say that out loud, but the myth of Morgan is great. Just because he even does the thing where when Alicia is gonna shoot, what's the girl? When Alicia's gonna shoot John's girlfriend, the one they thought was like super shady, Morgan gets in front of the gun. Like, you know what? Linda, her name is Linda. When Alicia's gonna shoot Linda, Morgan's like, you know what? Take me. I think because Morgan knows he can't die. Or if Morgan died, he'd be happy, because whenever Morgan tries to run away from people, what happens? He gets caught by people. He ends up hanging out with people. So if he has to die, so be it. So I feel like what they're gonna do, or what they're gonna try to do, is basically make Morgan the Rick of this show. So what it seems like his wisdom, I was gonna say wiseness, right? My brain was processing a word. I was like, what's the word? What's the word for wise, but not wiseness? And I had to process that all in like probably 4 to 5, not even 4 to 5 seconds. In 0.100th of a second, I was like, oh, it's wisdom. Wiseness isn't a word. There's times when I'm genuinely impressed with the human brain, and you have to be. Whenever you're in a situation like that, you have to just be impressed with the human brain and just be grateful about it. You have to, because you gotta be. Anyway, I feel like Morgan's wisdom is gonna reign all over the group, and they have a good solid string of characters together. They got John, who's a super nice guy. They got Alicia, who learned a whole bunch of game from her mom and her brother, and her whole family's gone. Like, Alicia's whole family is gone now. Whole family gone. I forget her name. We've got Nick's girlfriend. Her family's gone as well. Basically, her and Alicia are sister-in-laws, because and then it's just, they did a tremendous job, a very good job of just tying everything together. And I'm actually looking forward to the next season. Versus with Walking Dead, I don't care what happens in that, because for them, I mean, I get why they didn't kill Negan, because Negan's a great character. His TV presence is great. Its acting is incredible. They do. Jeffrey D. Morgan does a great job playing that character. I just don't know how much more longer I can go on with Rick and Negan like having a beef, because I feel like I want to say this has been going on since 2015. I want to, and it's a little bit too long for a Walking Dead enemy to be around. But they drew this war out so long. They made the war so long where it got to a point where it was just life. But I see why they did it, because I mean, it does fit the narrative, because it gets to a point where even Carl is like, we can't do this anymore. This can't be it. We can't do this anymore. There's got to be more than this. We can't do this anymore. Blah, blah, blah. Right. So I feel like they wrote that in. They had to continue that in the story. Me personally, I'm just kind of bored of it. You know, I don't want to compare it to a real war, but I want to say that there's a situation in a country on Earth that has been in a war for a really long time, and no one can really explain what's happening with it. I'm not going to point any fingers or say any names, because this isn't that type of show. Just an analogy. When the war goes on for so long, it's like, what are we doing? Can someone just say they quit? I mean, what are we doing? Wasting a lot of resources. Can we talk about it? Is there really anything we can do about it? So with that war being partially over and some of Negan's group joining, I guess, Nick's group, I don't know. Then there was that plane. It's going to get weird. It's going to get real weird. Now, I've seen shows that have been on for a very long time and things have gotten weird. So that's why you usually want to knock something out in about 4 or 5 seasons. I want to say Breaking Bad was on like 4, 5, maybe 6 seasons, but it escalated very fast, and everything was fine. But this Walking Dead thing has been going on a little bit too long, but I love the way that the Fear the Walking Dead did a whole reboot on the cast, because for a while we were just hanging out with their family, right? We were just hanging out with Madison's family, like we were part of their family, and it was weird. And no one was really allowed to be in their family other than Strand, who is basically like a really, really cool stepdad, but who isn't really a stepdad. He just a friend that's around sometimes. But Madison and Strand aren't really ever going to hit anything off, because Strand doesn't prefer Madison. They had a really good relationship, but for them just to be a family was kind of weird. It got kind of weird. Even that's why they had to kill off. That's why they kill off Rick's son. They had to kill him off. They had to kill Carl off, because the whole Rick and Michonne and Carl thing, that whole mom's dad, that stepmom dad thing, that got kind of soft for the end of the world. That got kind of soft because they already have a whole baby that's running around. You can't take care of Carl and take care of this baby. Come on, let's be realistic. So let's be realistic in the zombie apocalypse, right? So with that, I'm looking forward to next season. It surprised me. I didn't think it was going to do that well, but that is the recap of that. When I get back, I'm going to tell you guys about an episode of Black Mirror that you have to see. You have to watch Black Mirror. You just have to watch Black Mirror. It's the best ever. I'll tell you about it when I get back. I got to pay a quick bill. Don't go anywhere. I will be right back.
This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Welcome back to the GSMC SciFi Podcast with your favorite host, Ryan Holloway. So as promised, I didn't promise this. I just like saying that sometimes. I'm going to tell you guys about this episode of Black Mirror. I have to, because this one was so, I don't even know. This one was kind of weird. Oh, well, all of them are weird. All of them, but this one kind of weirded me out. So this woman wakes up in this home. She wakes up in a home and she picks up her phone and she's looking for her daughter. She can't find her daughter. She goes downstairs and there's a guy with an axe and like a mask chasing her all through the streets or whatever, right? And as she's running down the streets, there's people with phones that are like recording it, and she's just running. She's like, why isn't anyone helping? Why isn't anyone helping me? Why isn't anyone helping me? She runs into some people that are trying to help her. They end up getting killed, and she runs all over the place. And it gets all the way to a point where they basically chase her to this stage, and she ends up on the stage, and then she gets reminded, hey, you're not a victim. You're not being chased. This is a punishment that you're serving. This is a punishment that you're serving because you kidnapped a child and murdered them. And this is your sentence. And they walk her through this parade. People throw stuff at her. And they do this thing where they put through this, like, how do you say this pseudo trial. They put her in an electric chair and they electrocute her, which basically fries her brain, makes her forget, and they make her do this every single day. The place they do this at is a park. It's an amusement park, and the people everyone goes there with their phone. Everyone goes there with their phone, and when you get to the end of the episode, they do this thing where they basically say, hey, when you see the person, stay away. You can have your phones out, but stay away. Try to stay far away, and don't interrupt the acting, right? So when I saw this episode, a lot of Black Mirror episodes are like that. For the first 30 minutes, you don't know what's going on. When I saw this episode, when I first opened my eyes, I was like, wow, this is what society's like when people are getting murdered. It's going to get to a point where we just have our phones out. It's going to the point where we just have our phones out and we're just recording things. Because we see that a lot, right? Where people are getting beat. There's tons of YouTube videos of fights, right? People getting jumped, everything. No one with the phone, everything say, hey, why are you guys fighting? Hey, let's break it up. No, we have to record it. Everyone's got to watch. Everyone's a voyeur. But the beginning of the episode is so crazy because it gets to a point where the woman runs into a liquor store and the guy has a gun and an axe. He kicks the door down, shoots the clerk, who's also an actor, and is just shooting at this woman that's running away. And she also thinks she has a child that is somewhere that she has to find as well. But then she gets to the end and she's reminded, this is your sentence. You kidnapped and killed a child. And how do you feel about that as a punishment to have to relive your crime just every single day, to just be completely terrified out of your mind? I don't know if making someone go through that forever is, of course it's not humane, of course, but there's things where people say things like, oh, well, if you rape someone, you should go to jail and be raped. Now, I'm not going to say how I feel about that, but I can see why someone would say that, because people would say like an eye for an eye type of thing. I get it. Within this situation, for them to do this to this woman every single day, and then make it so that, make it so that this is her life, and then make it so that make money off of it, it's an amusement park where she doesn't know what's happening every single day, seems nuts. It seems to live through that every day. I could see like 50 times or even once. I feel like one time in your mind to be completely scared out of your mind for one whole day, and then be put in an electric chair and killed at the end of that day. I think that might be enough. But because this was a situation where within Black Mirror is really media heavy. So anything that happens on TV, everyone knows about more than right now, because everyone has like TV in their brain and in their ear and stuff. So they felt like everyone should participate in this amusement park thing, because the story of her kidnapping this girl and killing her was worldwide news. Like, she kidnapped her, went on like some wild spree with her boyfriend that ended up dying as well. And it was news for like a week. The girl was missing and everyone was following the story. It'd be like, how do you say? It'd be like Was OJ a good example? I don't know. OJ was on the run for a few hours, right? That's so long ago. What can we do? Say Casey Anthony. She misplaced her daughter. We don't really know what happened, but it was like worldwide news, and people didn't know where the little girl was at. It was one of those stories where everyone was following it, like the whole nation was. And and the punishment they chose was we should humiliate her and embarrass her and scare her and terrify her for the rest of her life, so she knows how that little girl felt. It's like, wow, every single day. I mean, just kill the woman, you know? So that episode, I don't know if you could watch that episode now, because I for the most part, I gave away the plot. I still think it's an interesting concept to watch just to see how you feel about it, just to see if you agree or disagree with it, or just watch any episode of Black Mirror, any of them. You can watch any episode of Black Mirror. Just watch one of them. And I guarantee, if you watch one episode of Black Mirror, I guarantee you, this probably isn't the best endorsement. No, this is a great endorsement. If you watch one episode of Black Mirror, you will lose, how many? You're going to lose about 24 hours of your life, give or take, about 20, because I believe there's 24 episodes. Maybe there's 30. You're going to lose 36 hours of your life. So do it on a weekend or on an off day, or when you don't have to report to anything and do anything important, because you will not be an adult for about 36 hours. It's a great show, 100%. I appreciate you guys tuning in. This has been your host, Ryan Holloway, on the GSMC Podcast Network, talking on the GSMC SciFi Podcast. Live long, prosper, watch out for potholes. I will see you next week.